we're all creative. Were artists at one point. And then suddenly around, I don't know, age 9 or 10 or stuff like that, people stopped being artists. We all used to make, we used to draw a picture. We're all creative. And we just, somewhere along that line, we lose it. And I kind of wanted to bring that back to a lot of different people.
All right, Vic, Monkey Gnome, AKA, which one would you prefer me to call you?
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter? All right, cool. I like that. So we got monkeys, we got gnomes, we're painting them. Exactly how did this journey start with you painting literally monkey gnomes and putting them around the Glass City?
Well, it starts back 2007 to 2010. A couple of buddies of mine, we had a television show on cable access. It was called Monkey Dome. Welcome to Monkey Dome Classic Episodes. I'm Abe Froman, your host right here on monkeydome.net as we present some of the best and finest cable access television episodes ever made. Kind of a horror, psychobilly kind of a show, but mixed with, we would go out and have the guy in the street kind of a thing, going around to local stuff, but also mixed in with a lot of different skits. We actually used this garage right here as the studio, shot green screen stuff right there. We kind of let it go, but then flash forward to 2020, me and the same couple of guys were kind of reminiscing that we should get the band back together in a sort of way. And it just kind of thought that it'd be funny, Monkey Dome 2020, we started looking around at the different options of monkey statues, and they were just the hear no evil, see no evil type monkeys, and that wasn't really our vibe, when really all we wanted was like a garden gnome that was a monkey. And then suddenly it just made sense, and it was a great pun. Monkey Gnome was born. And I would do different art trades and swaps with these gnomes and sticker packs and other people's art. So then I started accumulating all this other art from people around the world, in stickers and small form. And that's where the Adams art drop came from. I've seen those before. These art drop boxes exist. I didn't invent that. There's some in Chicago, there's some out west in Seattle. But we didn't have one. We've got these libraries and roadside, cupboards and stuff like that.
Absolutely. Yeah, it makes sense.
Why not make an art one? So I came across a box. I won't say where I found it, but I found it. And but it was like one of those plastic real estate ones, and stuck a bunch of stickers to it, from all these different people that I'd collected them from, and printed some 3D prints to the side of it to make it, very whimsical and childlike, because that's exactly what I was trying to do, was just give this impression of, we're all creative. Were artists at one point. And then suddenly around, I don't know, age 9 or 10 or stuff like that, people stopped being artists. We all used to make, we used to draw a picture. We're all creative. And we just, somewhere along that line, we lose it. And I kind of wanted to bring that back to a lot of different people. Here's this box, a new venue, make something, be vulnerable, put it out there, I feel it has definitely kind of come to life here lately, and I attribute some of that to the 2020 year. A lot of people, not being able to go do what they would normally do, found new things to do. Whether that was skills they didn't know they had, or things that they always wanted to try, they tried. So I think that a lot of people felt that same thing that I was feeling. We just got to get out and start making something different, and definitely with the art box, I didn't know how well that was going to work, and it's worked out wonderfully. I've had a few people tell me that they literally hadn't done art, and then they started doing art because of this, and now they make art, and I think that's great. That's wonderful. That's the best possible response I could have ever expected.
And they're doing art trades too, which
Yep.
I've seen online, where people are like, I made 100 of these tiny little stamps, and here, take something, and then there's already something there that someone else can trade in for. How does it feel that you're just creating this snowball effect?
Well, I really love how it feels. I don't think that hey, I did that, but I feel like, hey, I'm part of that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's what's great. And the more that I don't step to the front and say, hey, I did that, I made that box, I gave you this venue. That's, I don't want to do that, and I like what it's become. I think a lot of people don't know that I put it there. A lot of people don't just saw it pop up and just started participating. There's a lot of people that use it that don't use the hashtag or use Instagram, but so I don't know who they are because they're not posting or anything, but it's being used, people are putting stuff in there. So they definitely don't know that I exist,
right.
And I think that's great, that this thing is now just a thing, and it doesn't require me, it's a thing. So the first thing I have to do is I put this little seam on there because, it is rubber, but it's kind of hard to pull away from the details. If I were to try to pull them off, it's like a one piece. So there's this seam in here so that I can pull it away and pull it, on the parts that I know are going to be harder to pull away from, like his ears, and same thing with the tip. But then to make one, make sure it's all kind of cleaned out. Just line my seam back up by eye, and I put my binder clips back on. And this is just this is alcohol and castor oil, which just kind of puts like the alcohol evaporates away and the little thin layer of oil stays on the wall, so it makes it easier so that it doesn't stick, basically. It's like a non-stick spray. I shake off the excess, start filling it back up with sand. And this is basically to keep the, one, to hold the mold still, but it also helps keep it from blowing out one way or the other, like ballooning out, because it is just latex. So when you fill it full of concrete, it would blow out. In putting in the sand, sometimes it'll get smushed one direction versus the other. So like I said, that's where the kind of character of the different statues come from sometimes. Sometimes it might have like a pug face. Other times it might be like kind of like a narrow, thin face. I give it a good shake when I can start shaking it around. Make sure that it gets into like all the little crevices and everything. Settles in the other gravel. And there we go. Tomorrow we'll have a gnome.
Tomorrow we have a gnome. I love that.
All right, so this was down inside here like that, inside the sand. I can see it still. Now it's hard though. And I pour that in there until it gets to hard, and then I pull off my binder clips, and then I just pull this latex away. It's just nice, stretchy. Oh yeah, it's gonna be good. It's always the tip that breaks. You gotta be the carefulest with the tip. Nice. He's a good one.
So it was actually hard to find who you are. So I was trying to scour, like, see, where am I going even? Who am I interviewing? And I could not find anything. So is that purposeful? I'm guessing it is if you're making it that hard. And I'm a Gen Zer. It's pretty easy for us to find people online.
Well, I've always been a behind-the-scenes kind of person. Even dating back to the Monkey Dome show, I was more of a behind-the-scenes producer and did a lot of the animations and post-production stuff. You didn't see me on camera that much. Occasionally, there was a few roles that I always played on it, but I wasn't a big focal point on it. I was always the behind-the-scene guy. And even when we did this, I was behind the scenes making the dome and the monkey gnomes, but that wasn't the face of the show. There were two of the other guys were more of the face, and then two of us were more behind the scene. And when you saw us, we might have had a mask on or something, right? Or operating a puppet.
That. Okay.
So it's always been in my nature to be that, behind the scene guy. It suits me. I don't really like attention, but I guess I do, because I like to make stuff that.
So honestly, you might need to rethink your career path. What do you get out of this? Like, is this a passion project? Is this something that you kind of consider like your 9 to 5?
It definitely has become a side job. I do sell some online, but every penny that I make goes right back into either Gnomes or purchasing of other people's art, because I just want this to be a public art project entirely, you know. But I am straight up addicted to the joy that it brings. When I connect with somebody and find somebody that's a real big fan, I think that's awesome. And they're not a fan of me, they're a fan of the Gnome. I mean, because he's just cool. Now that I've a little more well known, I guess, at least well enough known to win Best of Toledo from the city paper, I think that I'm not going to get in any trouble at this point, I would hope. But if I do, maybe I have enough of a loyal following to help get me out of trouble if I ever did.
Abstract with Allie Ray is presented by PNC Bank.